Alright. So, I mean, you kind of saw how it looked like. So sometimes I make these drawings. For instance, this one. I mean, this is how it looks like, right? This one especially. Sometimes I make this drawing and I think I don't like it in the moment where I make it. But I've made it and I'm going to put it to use. And I have enough experience now that I know as soon as I take a picture it's already different. And then I put it on my computer and then I start editing it. And then I already have an idea, okay, somehow I want to take a picture of this blanket here, the green one. That's what served, to give the background some kind of texture. With this one. With this one I used the texture of my closet. And then you just have to start somewhere. But of course I already knew with this one, because this is supposed to some kind of vagina. And this is of course some kind of penis. And the seed, right? Why the bird ends there, that's just creative freedom. So I knew already that these lines would have to go. Because this is just the first sketch. And I also knew that this had to be a bit different because it has to look like it's actually going inside. Which I have to admit made me kind of horny while I was drawing it, but that's okay too. And for example, to draw this thing, I actually used my hand. I looked at it because I don't know how to draw hands, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's indicating a hand and everybody knows it's a hand. So first I wanted to make right? And then I thought, no. So I just looked at my hand and I drew it just the way I saw it. I don't have to draw everything from my mind. This was just a shape. And then somehow I felt like, whoa, and I felt like, ooh, this is like curvy, like, wow. Just what I was feeling. And because I like oral sex and, I just like the way that a clean vagina tastes like. That's just a fact. It makes me already saying that makes me horny. And of course there's also difference between women, but some women are really clean and nice, and I mean it's really tasty, my god. So yeah, this is the tongue. And it's just also for me to connect a bit with my sexuality. And I mean, I've already drawn 50 of them or something. And at one point you just realize it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just draw shapes and in the end I'm gonna decide, what I want it to be. What's this? It looks like a car or something. And yes, I have to clean because it's getting kind of dusty in here. And sometimes even pictures, some of them scare me. And so yeah, I don't know how this is going to look afterwards, but the good thing is if you're just doing it for yourself, there's nobody to judge you, and you can first start falling in love with your art by yourself. Because it's the worst thing if you would draw this, for example. And I've shown these things to my parents. My mother, she always likes everything that I do. I can have the worst haircut in the world and she's gonna say, oh, that looks amazing. So it's usually not good to ask your mother because she knows, she's gonna love it anyway, probably. Maybe your dad's like my mom, I don't know. And if I would when I showed this to my dad, he didn't understand it at all. He just looked at it and he said, good luck, good luck. Because he doesn't get it. To him, this is nothing. This is stupid. Why the fuck would anybody do that? I mean, this is what you call work. You're lazy. You're just playing around, I mean, it's like the books I write. If I think, my family ought to like them and read them, well then I'm mistaken, because they will never like this and they will never really read it. Because they won't read it like maybe a random person watching my videos. Because they're my family, so when they read it, they try to, you know, figure out what I'm thinking. Or what I mean with this, instead of trying to reflect on it, what it does with them when I write this, because they know me. So people that know me personally are probably a worse audience than people that just, you know, stumbled upon me as the Barbarian Lunatic. That's why I also like to do my stuff in English, like it's a conscious decision. I could do these things in German, but I do them in English because I like talking English. And when you live in Germany, you know, there's not a lot of people you can talk English to. So what do? My art, my language for art is English. And that's why I also started considering what I do art. Because if I don't consider it art, I don't take it very seriously. And if I don't take it seriously, then nobody's gonna take it seriously. So if you want to be taken seriously as somebody who does what he wants, you have to do that. Because otherwise you will become a person, for example, like the certified health nut, who at the age of 50 still wears base caps and goes driving around with his skateboard, and then, you know, has an accident where he injures himself, and where you start to believe that he probably did that on purpose to get more clicks. And why is that? Because he never really thought about how to make money, so he basically just tried to make money with YouTube. But that's not, like, you shouldn't do that. You should believe in your work, and you shouldn't start selling, like, you know, advertising things. You just do what you do anyway, and YouTube is just a platform where you show that you're doing it. So for me, for example, I'm using these paintings for my books. These are my book covers. Or I put them into my books to write a story, right? I put this into my book and then I write a story with it. But then I also learned, holy shit, you know, I can record this so people see how I make it, and maybe they're interested to make it themselves, and maybe that's relaxing for them if I just play some chilled music and just record that, because I actually like working on that. I also like using the things I like to do anyway and then share them, because how much more love can I put into my work? You know, it's about filming the process of doing something. Now, I don't always want to draw, like show you how I draw these things, because I don't really like that. What I like is I already have this, right? The first step is done, that's the hardest part, sit down and draw something and then be okay with it. Because you also have to know at some point when to stop, right? Because if you don't know when to stop, you're just going to continue, and you may then ruin the picture. Like, for example, these lines, I'm not entirely happy with them. I may take them out later, I have to see. Right now I don't really know what they're supposed to be, right? So, because that gives it some kind of 3D hint, which the rest of the picture doesn't have. So why the fuck is that in there? Because I somehow felt like I needed to add more. And now also this, like, what is this supposed to be? It doesn't make any sense, but maybe it does, right? I will see that later. And now, of course, I could add like more lines here, and maybe that would make it slightly better. Because I know also now I can later always delete it, and then I think, well, I don't think it really contributed to it. So probably I will take that later out. But that's the freedom I still have, you know, it's not set in stone. And yeah, so this is like the inside of a mouth or something. And where does it, you know, where does this thing then is, right? It's kind of weird. But also, it doesn't matter at all. Because maybe this is just, you know, an X-ray of the inside of a mouth, and it actually doesn't have canines like these. Maybe it has flat ones, and it's still the inside of a mouth, and maybe that's the tongue or something, right? So you don't know, right? This is like weird stuff. And talking about it sometimes makes it more complicated, because usually what I do this in silence, and then I record myself also in silence, so there's no talking and there's no room for, oh my god, what am I doing? So if you try to be, you know, artistically creative or whatever, you may not consider what you're doing art, but I do. You don't question what you're doing, you're just doing it. And of course it's not just doing it, but in a way it is. Maybe you start, you know, overcomplicating it, and the more you do, you realize it's actually not that hard. And then suddenly, at first you think, whoa, it's amazing what I'm doing. You know, nobody's doing something like I'm doing. And then you continue, and then you suddenly get bored because suddenly it's nothing special anymore. You think, what the fuck, I mean, now it's getting easy, and then you think it's getting boring. And now I find myself actually really enjoying doing like 1.5 hours sessions where I draw these things to perfection. And then I just fiddle here a bit, and I really take my time, and I really don't mind, you know, and even if nobody watches it, I don't really care, because in a way it's one more video also that I can upload. Because I also want to introduce change. Because maybe there are some people that will literally sit there for 1.5 hours, and I think it's better to see something like this than to see all these idiots just flashing their muscles at the camera or talking about, you know, getting as many women as possible. I think then you rather should watch something like this, because this at least is inspiring in a kind of, you know, be creative. And this is getting you maybe ideas of shapes and how to do things, whereas watching people just having, you know, telling you how to have sex with as many women as possible is just going to get you into a really heavy depression, I think. And this is a way, because also these are emotions. I don't know how, but this is coming out of me. This is something that's on the inside of me. He's looking kind of sad, right? That's how I feel. So in a way, yes, he's me. And just as this is also something, right? Eating animals. Like, I think a lot about reptiloids and stuff. This is just something, you know, it's like boob shaped, right? And here's the mouth, so it's also partly sexuality. And this is my own inner madness, this is my inner joker, this is my demon, my dark side. So I like this because it's me, but like different language. And that's what I call the language of emotion. And for anybody but myself, it would be very hard to talk about, you know, why these shapes came into here. And that's why you just start drawing something. And the more experience you gather, the more you realize, holy shit, this is actually me. And the first time I realized that was when I was laying in bed and I just had made a painting. I don't think I have that still. I made really crazy for today. Also doesn't really matter, because they're gonna go in the trash anyway. Point is, I was laying in bed and something was going on, like some weird crazy stuff with energy and emotions, and I felt an emotion like getting out of me. And as it left me, I had this image in front of my inner eye, and it was of a painting that I just completed. And that's when I first realized, holy shit, these are my emotions. And that's actually what I talked about in the book Totally Misunderstood, The Language of Emotion. I basically talk about these things, that the language of emotion cannot be understood with words, but more or less with the things that are left unsaid. So if somebody shouts at you, that's what I meant, you don't just look at the words and take them all personal. You just see the person for who they are, like with their pain and their trauma, and you just love them anyway. So instead of getting angry and defending yourself, you just realize, no, that person is actually shouting at somebody from their past probably, or at themselves. And all you have to do is help them transform this by loving them anyway and giving them the feeling that it's okay to behave like this. And that's something we often do with children. We give them the feeling that it's bad to show emotion. But emotion is something that needs to be shown, because if you are not allowed to show your emotion, then it happens what happened to me and to most people in this society, like probably 99%. They shut themselves off, they close their hearts because they realize the way I am is bad and therefore I have to be how people want me to be. And that's exactly what you don't want to be, because it's just sick. It's just sick because you can never make people happy by pretending to be someone that you're not. Because they're not happy anyway, and if they don't like you the way you are, then they don't like themselves. And that's why by loving yourself more, and learning to love yourself more, and doing the things that you love more, so implementing the things that you love into your daily life, helps you to like yourself more, and to love yourself more, and to accept yourself more. And the more relaxed you can be around people that hate themselves. That's what I mean when I spend time with my dad. I know he doesn't like himself very much. And if I allow it to him, he will make it a problem for me. So he's very insecure and he's very uncertain, but he doesn't show it, he tries to hide it all the time. But just by the things he says, because I'm very aware of what people say around me and do around me, so I pay attention, which is important. And I think there's a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal where this is portrayed very nicely. I think it's called Demolition. And that's a movie I could recommend to you. I think I really like that movie. It has a very important message, and it's also just genius how it's made. Yeah, so, you spend time and you create something with quality, and you don't think about what people want, but you think about what you need. And that's when you can unlock the potential to create something like art, like great stuff, like movies like, The Last Unicorn. You don't make a movie like this by thinking about what people want. No, you just do it because you love it. And then often comes the problem, now you've created something that people loved, and then you're trying to recreate it, and that usually doesn't work. And that's why nowadays all we see in cinemas is like remakes and stuff based on comics, because people have run out of ideas. And that's why they are just recreating the things that already exist. Because they're so cut off from themselves. And that's also why women need pregnancy tests, because they actually don't know anymore if they're pregnant or not. Like, they are cut off from their own feeling. They don't trust themselves. Because a woman, normally, if she's aware of her feelings and of her body, if she's like connected to herself, she will know if she's pregnant. And that's why these corona tests, in my opinion, are complete nonsense. Because like, if you would be like mortally sick and you are connected to yourself, I mean, you will realize it. You don't need a test to tell you if you're sick or not. No matter the disease, you should just know it, because your body will signal you if, you should do something, right? And if you don't even know that you have cancer, that means you're very disconnected to yourself. Because you never take the time to like lay down, close your eyes, put your hands on your body, on your stomach or on your chest, on your heart, wherever you want to put them, and just feel into yourself. These daily checkups, how am I doing? Am I still feeling well? Like, I could tell you right now, I have heartburn. I'm also not trying to ignore it, it's just there. And yes, I dislike it. And still I want to drink more coffee, and that's just, like, some people, they don't ever realize they have heartburn because they just keep taking these substances that keep the heartburn down, but it's still there. It's just getting rid of the symptom. But the problem remains, and that's your diet. And that's why you should change your diet. That's for sure. And I'm not talking about temporary, I'm like talking about long-term, forever. Like, don't ever eat meat again. That's just important. And I just know that. Because any person who wants to like grow spiritually, I say, don't ever eat meat. And there are scriptures from the original words from Jesus, or like as original as you can get them. And that's where I draw my knowledge, and he said, stop eating meat, stop eating animals, or you will turn into an animal. And what that means is you lose your higher wisdom, your consciousness, you turn into a mindless animal, because animals are different from humans. But if you see how most humans are, then they are more like animals. They don't know what they're doing, and that's ignorance. They are not aware of the consequences. Like, probably if an animal would see how they're eating another animal and the animal is in great pain, they probably wouldn't be able to do it anymore, but it's just in their nature to do it. And that's, I mean, if a human cannot even realize anymore that he's eating an animal that was like tormented and killed in terrible conditions, then he's just not human at all. What we claim to be the pinnacle of evolution, right? And we do the most terrible things because we are so unaware of what we're doing. And then all the people that come along and they say, I mean, what the fuck is going on on this earth, on this planet? People like Charlie Chaplin, people like Alan Watts, and we say, oh, they're crazy, or they're funny, or we laugh at them. But we never really realize what they're saying, because we don't listen, we don't pay attention, because we are so involved with just our own needs. I'm hungry, I need this. Talking about a hungry wolf. That's just like animals. Just thinking about their own needs. And the only way that an angry wolf or a hungry wolf will back off from a carcass is if there's this more dominant wolf pushing him back. And that's how humans have become. They're just pissing on everybody's lawn, trying to like look the smartest, while they're all just dumb animals. Like all these people in suits. Oh, you know, I created Microsoft. Oh, you know, we're Apple. Mercedes. Volkswagen, you know, it's just a big ego contest. And they all look like idiots. But they're portraying themselves as smart. And we're buying it because we're looking for the wrong things. And that's the material. So the value of this image is not the money you get for it, but maybe what you do with it and the message you're spreading with it. Because of course you can probably sell images like the ones I'm doing for like thousands of euros because it's a unique form of art. But do you want to do that? That's the other question, right? Is that what you want to do? Because what would be the message of that? You know, just the image has no value to me. You know, if I just look at the image, I like that I created it, but I also want to spread a message. And that's important, and that's why I like using these images in my books to give extra value to what I write. And because I like painting, so I can use these things. But to just sell this image, I don't think it has like value. And that's why I think selling calendars is completely useless. Because it's just a waste of paper. So I rather create something where people can learn from than to just sell images. And maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Because there's great value in painting things and saying something without words. Because words leave too much room for interpretation. And if you paint something like this, you know, somebody might see something in that. Or they might wonder, oh, what is he trying to say with this? But I don't know. Maybe to me it's just obvious and that's why I feel like it's useless, but well, who am I to judge, right?